Ethan's ship shuddered violently as the meteor storm tore across the night sky. Sparks flew from the control panel, and alarms blared in his ears. He gripped the steering wheel tightly, trying to keep the vessel steady, but it was no use. The last thing he remembered before everything went black was a blinding flash of light. When he opened his eyes, the world around him had changed completely. The wreck of his ship lay scattered across a smooth, metallic surface that seemed alive with faint energy. The sky was an unusual shade of violet, and two suns hung low on the horizon, casting long, alien shadows. Ethan's body ached, every muscle screaming in protest, and his vision blurred. He tried to move, but a sharp pain in his side forced him to stay still. A soft, mechanical hum echoed nearby. Ethan squinted and saw figures moving gracefully toward him. They were tall and slender, with smooth skin that shimmered faintly in the alien light. Their faces were elongated and elegant, with large, intelligent eyes that studied him with curiosity. One figure stepped forward, her movements fluid, almost like a dance. "Finally awake," she said, her voice calm but carrying a teasing tone. She paused, tilting her head slightly, and a faint smirk appeared on her lips. "Every inch of you needs treatment, human." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. He had expected hostility or fear, not this. The alien extended a hand, or what looked like a hand. Its fingers were longer than a human's, and the skin glimmered like liquid metal. Who are you?" Ethan asked, his voice hoarse. "I am Lyra," she replied. "And you, human, are badly hurt. Do not worry, we will help you." Her tone was calm, yet there was a playful edge that made Ethan feel both uneasy and strangely curious. Before he could respond, a soft energy field enveloped him, lifting him gently from the ground. The sensation was neither painful nor uncomfortable. It felt as if he were floating on air. Lyra guided him through a corridor that pulsed with light, showing walls embedded with strange symbols that seemed to shift when he looked away. Ethan's mind raced. He had heard stories of advanced alien civilizations, but nothing could have prepared him for this. The room they entered was unlike any medical facility Ethan had ever seen. It was vast and bright, yet not harsh. Equipment hovered in midair, moving silently as if it were alive. Panels displayed data in patterns he could not read, yet somehow he sensed their purpose. Lyra set him down on a smooth, white platform that adjusted automatically to his body. "Lie still," she instructed, her voice soft now, almost soothing. She waved her hand over a floating device, and a faint glow surrounded Ethan's body. Small probes extended from the device, scanning him from head to toe. "Ah," she murmured, her smirk returning. "So fragile, yet stubborn. A human. Truly remarkable." Ethan tried to sit up, but the pain in his side made him wince. "Remarkable?" he repeated weakly. "Yes," Lyra said, her eyes sparkling with something between amusement and admiration. "Your species is strange, weak in some ways, yet resilient in others. Your body is fascinating. Every inch tells a story." He didn't know how to respond. He had always thought of humans as ordinary, perhaps even fragile compared to the advanced beings in the galaxy. Yet here was an alien marveling at his very existence. Ethan's chest swelled with a mixture of pride and disbelief. The treatment began slowly. Lyra guided the floating probes along his body, and wherever they touched, a gentle warmth spread, easing his pain. Tiny lights danced across the devices, creating a mesmerizing pattern. Ethan watched in awe. This was not just medicine. It was artistry. He felt his strength returning with every pulse of light, every touch from the alien instruments. "You humans endure so much," Lyra said, her voice softer now. "You face danger, fear, and pain, yet you survive. You fight against odds no other species could manage. She paused, studying him with intensity. "That is why you are fascinating to us. You are small. But inside you burn with something rare." Ethan's curiosity grew. "Rare? What do you mean?" Lyra's smirk returned, playful yet sincere. "Resilience. Creativity. The ability to act when reason says you cannot. You think you are fragile, but your species is unpredictable. That makes you dangerous in ways we admire." He felt a strange warmth, not from the devices, but from her words. For the first time since the crash, he felt seen, not just as a patient or a human, but as something unique. Hours passed, though Ethan had no way to measure time. The pain in his body lessened with every passing moment, replaced by a strange energy that made him feel alive in ways he had never experienced. Lyra remained by his side, observing, guiding, and occasionally teasing him when he flinched or groaned. "You flinch too easily," she said once, brushing a strand of shimmering hair from his face. "Humans must be braver if they wish to explore the stars." Ethan managed a weak smile. "I've survived this long," he said. "I guess I can survive a little teasing, too." Lyra tilted her head, studying him as if weighing his words. "Perhaps," she said finally, "but every inch of you still needs care. You are not fully healed, and the journey ahead will test more than your body." "What journey?" Ethan asked, curiosity sharpening despite his fatigue. "The journey of understanding," Lyra replied. "You are far from home, human. Here, you will learn that survival is only the beginning. Adaptation, thought, and courage, these are what will set you apart." Ethan realized she was right. His journey had just begun. Not only to survive this strange planet, but to understand it, and perhaps himself, in ways he had never imagined. The first night passed with Ethan lying on the hovering platform, unable to sleep, but strangely calm. Through the windows, the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the alien city outside. He could hear faint hums and whispers of activity, but he was safe, for now. Lyra remained nearby, occasionally checking his vitals with a soft touch or a flick of her wrist. As he drifted in and out of consciousness, Ethan could not help but marvel at the alien nurse beside him. She was playful, teasing, and sometimes frustrating, yet undeniably brilliant. Her species might be more advanced, but she had chosen to focus her attention on him, a fragile human who had crashed into their world. And in that moment, Ethan understood something important. Humans were not weak. They were different, unpredictable, resilient, and perhaps in ways even aliens could not fully understand, remarkable. The hum of the machines, the shimmer of Lyra's skin, and the glow of the alien instruments surrounded him as he finally surrendered to sleep. Tomorrow, he would face new challenges, new lessons, and new surprises. But tonight, he allowed himself one simple thought. Perhaps, just perhaps, being human was enough to stand out among the stars. Ethan woke to a soft, humming light that filled the room. The floating platform beneath him adjusted gently, ensuring he was comfortable. His body still ached in places, but the pain was less intense than before. The sensation of alien technology moving seamlessly around him was strange, yet somehow reassuring. Lyra was already there, hovering near a set of shimmering screens. Her eyes followed his every move, and the faint smirk on her lips made him feel like he was under gentle scrutiny. "You awake already, human?" she asked, her voice carrying the same teasing tone as before. "Yes," Ethan replied, sitting up slowly. "And I feel a bit better." Lyra tilted her head, studying him as if weighing the truth in his words. "Better, yes," she said, "but you are still far from complete healing. Today, we will continue the treatment." Ethan glanced around the room, noticing the subtle changes since last night. The walls pulsed with faint light, almost like a heartbeat, and small devices hovered silently, waiting for instructions. "Your technology, it's incredible," he said, awe in his voice. Lyra's smirk widened slightly. "It is not the technology alone that heals. It is understanding the body, observing every detail, knowing where to guide the energy. You humans have certain qualities that make treatment interesting." "Interesting?" Ethan asked, raising an eyebrow. "I'm not sure I like being called interesting." "You will get used to it," Lyra said, lightly brushing a probe across his shoulder. The sensation was warm, like sunlight on skin, and Ethan felt a ripple of energy move through his body. "Every inch of you is unique. Your muscles, your bones, your nervous system. Fascinating. Most species are simple, predictable. You are different." Ethan leaned back, letting the warmth flow through him. Despite the teasing, he felt a sense of pride. It was strange, being admired by a being so far beyond human understanding. "Different, huh?" he said softly. "I never thought of myself that way." Lyra's gaze softened for a moment, though the playful smirk remained. "Difference is often misunderstood. Some fear it, others ignore it. But here, we recognize it. And you, human, have potential." As the treatment continued, Ethan noticed something remarkable. While the alien devices worked with precise, almost mechanical efficiency, Lyra's presence added a layer of intuition. She adjusted the devices based on subtle cues, a twitch of muscle, a change in breathing, a fleeting expression. He realized that even advanced technology needed guidance, and that guidance came from intelligence and care. Hours passed, yet Ethan barely noticed. The treatment was thorough, yet it never felt overwhelming. Lyra moved around him gracefully, sometimes speaking, sometimes silent, always observing. At one point, she paused, her long fingers hovering over a small scar on his side. "This scar," she said, her voice almost reverent, "it tells a story, a human who has faced danger and survived. Tell me, how did it happen?" Ethan hesitated, then smiled faintly. "A crash. In a storm. Nothing special, really." Lyra shook her head. "Nothing special?" she repeated, her tone teasing. "Humans say that, yet every scar is proof of endurance. Every pain survived is a victory. You may think you are fragile, but your body, your spirit, are stronger than you realize." Her words struck something deep inside him. He had always thought of himself as ordinary, vulnerable, easily breakable. Yet here was an alien, a being more advanced than any human, seeing strength in him he had never recognized. The rest of the morning passed in a quiet rhythm. Ethan's strength returned slowly, guided by Lyra's careful adjustments. At times, she would comment on a twitch of muscle or a pulse of energy, explaining it in a way that made him understand his own body better than he ever had. "You humans are stubborn," she said at one point, watching him struggle to stretch his leg after a treatment. "You resist weakness, even when your body begs for rest. That stubbornness, it is remarkable. It is why you survive in conditions no one else could endure." Ethan laughed softly. "I guess stubbornness has its benefits." Lyra's eyes gleamed with something like amusement. "Benefits, yes, but also surprises. You will see, human, that your species can achieve things others cannot. Sometimes by strength, sometimes by thought, sometimes by unpredictability." Her words lingered in his mind. He realized that while aliens like Lyra were advanced in every measurable way, humans had qualities that technology and intellect alone could not replace. Creativity, intuition, adaptability, these were tools that could rival even the most precise machinery. By midday, Ethan was walking unassisted around the room. Lyra hovered near him, observing his movements and occasionally offering guidance. "Balance is key," she said, adjusting a hovering device that projected a subtle force field. Your body must learn to move as one unit, not as separate parts. Humans often underestimate the connection between mind and body. Ethan nodded, following her instructions carefully. The alien techniques were unusual, but they worked. Every movement felt natural, every step more confident than the last. Good, Lyra said after a while, her smirk softening into something almost like approval. You are learning quickly. Few humans adapt this fast. Ethan smiled, feeling a spark of pride. He had survived a crash, been treated by an alien species, and now was walking again under their guidance. The thought that humans could hold their own, even in the presence of beings so advanced, filled him with a quiet determination. As the afternoon approached, Lyra led him to a different part of the facility. The room was filled with holographic displays showing the planet's ecosystem, alien species, and star charts. Ethan marveled at the complexity, trying to absorb everything at once. You will need to understand this, Lyra said. If you are to survive here, knowledge is as important as strength. You humans often rely on instinct, which is admirable. But it will only carry you so far. Observation, understanding, anticipation, these are equally vital. Ethan studied the holograms, noticing details he had never considered. The alien planet was vibrant and full of life, yet it was also dangerous in subtle ways. Predators that moved silently, plants with hidden defenses, storms that could appear without warning. He realized that surviving here would require more than courage. It would require learning to think like the planet itself. Lyra watched him closely, her smirk returning once more. You are curious, human. That is good. Curiosity will keep you alive. Fear, while natural, can be deadly if it paralyzes you. Remember, every inch of you is capable, but only if your mind guides your body. Ethan nodded, taking her words to heart. He felt a growing respect for Lyra, not just for her skill, but for her insight. She treated him not as a fragile creature, but as a being capable of learning, adapting, and surviving. By evening, Ethan's recovery had progressed significantly. He was no longer weak and trembling. He moved with purpose, observing the technology and the environment around him. Lyra, sensing his progress, allowed herself a small smile. You are improving faster than I expected, she said. It seems humans are not as simple as many believe. There is strength in your species, a spark that cannot be measured by muscle or machine alone. Ethan felt a warm sense of pride. He had always thought of humans as ordinary, but here, on a distant planet, with a being far more advanced than himself, he realized that humans were anything but ordinary. As night fell, the twin suns disappeared behind the horizon, leaving a sky full of unfamiliar stars. Ethan lay on the platform, feeling the gentle hum of the room and the presence of Lyra nearby. Despite the alien surroundings, despite the challenges he had yet to face, he felt a growing confidence. Tomorrow, he knew, would bring new trials. He would need to move further, learn more, and perhaps face dangers he could not yet imagine. But for the first time since the crash, he felt ready, not just to survive, but to thrive. And as he drifted to sleep, he could hear Lyra's soft voice, almost a whisper. Every inch of you is remarkable, human, and I am only beginning to understand why. The next morning, Ethan awoke to the faint hum of the alien facility. His body felt stronger, more awake, and every movement was less awkward than the day before. The strange warmth of the floating platform beneath him was familiar now, and the soft, pulsing lights in the room no longer seemed intimidating. They felt almost protective. Lyra was already there, as expected, her eyes bright and calculating. She observed him with a mix of amusement and careful scrutiny. You move with more confidence today, human, she said, her smirk softening into a look that could almost be called approval. Good. We have work to do. Ethan followed her as she led him toward a large observation window that overlooked the alien landscape. The terrain was breathtaking. Violet forests stretched across the horizon, rivers of shimmering liquid wound through valleys, and massive creatures moved gracefully among the flora. Despite its beauty, Ethan felt an undercurrent of danger. Even from a distance, he could sense that life on this planet had evolved in ways designed to survive harsh conditions. "You must understand this world, human," Lyra said, her voice calm but firm. "Knowledge is not a choice here. It is survival. You will face challenges beyond injury or weakness, creatures, terrain, storms, and not all are predictable." Ethan nodded, feeling both excitement and apprehension. "Predictable or not, I'll do my best." Lyra's smirk returned. "That is why you are fascinating. Most species falter when faced with the unknown. Humans adapt. They improvise. They endure. And that is exactly what you must do." They moved deeper into the facility, reaching a training area filled with alien technology designed to simulate the planet's dangers. Holographic projections of predators, sudden storms, and treacherous terrain appeared, reacting to Ethan's movements in real time. He was expected to navigate these challenges while under observation. The first simulation was simple. He had to cross a ravine while energy barriers shifted unpredictably. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He watched the patterns carefully, then timed his movements, leaping and ducking as necessary. Lyra observed silently, occasionally offering a quick nod of approval. "Not bad," she said finally. "You think like a human, and that is your advantage. Quick decisions, creativity, and sometimes unpredictability." Ethan felt a spark of pride. The alien devices were impressive, yet his mind allowed him to anticipate shifts in ways they had not predicted. He realized that humans had something aliens often overlooked: the ability to improvise in chaos, to make split-second decisions based on instinct and observation rather than pure logic. The second simulation was more intense. A pack of holographic predators surrounded him, their forms flickering and shifting as they lunged and retreated. Ethan had to use not only agility but also strategy. He noticed that the projections responded to hesitation, slowing only when he acted decisively. He moved quickly, dodging, feinting, and luring the creatures into traps he imagined. Lyra's eyes widened slightly. "Humans are unpredictable," she murmured, almost to herself. "No algorithm could anticipate that. You think, adapt, survive." By the time the simulation ended, Ethan was panting but exhilarated. His heart raced, his muscles burned, yet he had succeeded where purely analytical methods would have failed. Lyra stepped closer, her long fingers hovering over his shoulder as if to test the tension in his muscles. "You have learned quickly, human," she said. "Most beings fail the first trials. You did not. That is remarkable." Ethan grinned, wiping sweat from his brow. "I guess humans have a way of surviving, even in the strangest places." Lyra's gaze softened, but the smirk remained. "Survival is only the beginning. You will need more than speed and strength. You must learn to anticipate the unexpected, to understand life around you, and sometimes to act when others hesitate." As the day progressed, Lyra introduced him to other elements of the planet. They observed plants that reacted violently to touch, rivers with invisible currents, and creatures whose camouflage made them nearly invisible. Ethan marveled at every discovery, but he also noticed how Lyra's instructions often hinted at more than survival. They emphasized understanding. Humans, she implied, could not rely solely on instinct. They had to observe, reason, and adapt. Later, while navigating a simulation of a treacherous cliffside, Ethan encountered a sudden challenge: a massive projection of a predator, faster and more aggressive than anything he had faced before. The hologram lunged at him from the shadows, and his first instinct was to run. But then he remembered Lyra's advice. He paused, assessing the predator's patterns, then acted. Using a combination of quick thinking and physical skill, he maneuvered around the projection, leading it into a trap he had improvised. The simulation ended with a soft chime, signaling his success. Lyra clapped her hands once, her smirk replaced by a rare look of admiration. "Impressive," she said. "You anticipated, adapted, and acted decisively. Most humans would have faltered. Most beings, in fact, would have failed entirely." Ethan felt a surge of pride. Not only had he survived, but he had also begun to understand why Lyra had been so intrigued by humans. It was not just their resilience, it was their creativity, their unpredictability, and their ability to act decisively under pressure. As evening approached, Ethan and Lyra moved back to the main facility. The sky outside was deep purple now, streaked with the light of distant stars. Ethan's body ached pleasantly from the day's challenges, a reminder that he was growing stronger, more capable. Lyra watched him quietly for a moment. "You have done well today, human," she said softly. "But the world outside this facility is far less forgiving than these simulations. There will be no reset button, no guidance from hovering devices. You must rely on yourself, and on your mind." Ethan nodded. "I understand. I think I'm ready for it." Lyra tilted her head, her eyes gleaming. "Humans are strange creatures, fragile, yes, yet capable of extraordinary things. You survive because you refuse to give up. You think in ways no one predicts, and that is why you matter." Ethan felt a warmth spread through him, not from the alien technology, but from the acknowledgement itself. He had faced danger, learned new skills, and proven that even a human could thrive in this alien world. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a participant, a being capable of standing out in ways even Lyra could not fully anticipate. Later that night, Ethan lay on the floating platform once more, staring at the stars through the translucent roof of the facility. The hum of machines, the soft glow of lights, and the distant sounds of alien life created a lullaby that was both foreign and comforting. Lyra remained nearby, adjusting instruments and observing his vitals. At one point, she leaned slightly closer, her voice low and almost teasing. "Every inch of you is learning, human. Every choice, every movement, every thought. It shows your species is remarkable in ways we rarely see." Ethan smiled, thinking about the day's challenges and victories. He had survived simulations, faced projected predators, and adapted to alien environments in ways that would have seemed impossible a week ago. And he realized that Lyra's admiration was not superficial. It was genuine recognition of humanity's unique strengths. As he drifted toward sleep, he allowed himself a quiet thought. Perhaps humans were not just survivors. Perhaps they were something more, creative, resilient, unpredictable, and capable of remarkable deeds even in the most alien circumstances. And somewhere nearby, Lyra's eyes glimmered with the knowledge that she had only begun to understand just how extraordinary a human could be. The morning sun rose slowly over the violet horizon, casting soft light across the alien landscape. Ethan stretched, feeling stronger than he ever had since the crash. The aches and soreness from yesterday's challenges were still there, but they were reminders of progress, not weakness. He glanced at Lyra, who was already standing nearby, her posture calm and confident. "Today," she said, her voice carrying a hint of seriousness beneath her usual smirk, "you will leave the safety of the facility. The outside world is less forgiving than simulations. You must trust your body, your mind, and your instincts." Ethan swallowed nervously but nodded. "I'm ready." Lyra's eyes softened, a rare expression that betrayed genuine respect. "Good. Remember, human, every inch of you is capable, if you allow it to be. Observe, think, and adapt. That is how you survive here. They stepped outside onto a platform that hovered above the ground. The air was crisp, carrying unfamiliar scents and sounds. Ethan could see the forest stretching endlessly, creatures moving with caution, and streams of shimmering liquid reflecting the twin suns. The beauty of the planet was breathtaking. But there was an underlying tension in every shadow. Their first task was simple in theory: cross a ridge and reach a plateau on the other side. But as they moved, Ethan noticed the subtle dangers that Lyra had not mentioned. Plants shifted as they approached, their leaves curling in sudden defensive motions. Small creatures darted between rocks, observing them with bright, intelligent eyes. "You see," Lyra said, her voice calm. "The world reacts. You must learn to predict it without fear. Humans are small, yet you are capable of observing patterns others might miss." Ethan's senses sharpened. Every step became deliberate. He noted how the ground shifted beneath his feet, how the wind carried scents that indicated approaching creatures, and how the light reflected off surfaces differently depending on distance and angle. Every instinct and every observation became part of his strategy. As they neared the plateau, a sudden rustling erupted from the forest below. Ethan froze. A pack of alien predators, larger and faster than anything he had encountered in simulations, emerged from the shadows. Their eyes glowed, and their movements were coordinated, suggesting intelligence beyond mere instinct. Lyra's voice cut through his focus, calm yet urgent. "They are cautious but curious. Do not panic. Observe their behavior. You will need your mind as much as your body." Ethan's heart pounded, but he forced himself to remain calm. He studied the pack carefully. Each predator seemed to move in a pattern, yet there were gaps in their formation. Using his knowledge from the simulations, he began to move strategically, stepping only when there was space, using rocks and trees for cover and keeping the predators just outside his reach. One of the creatures lunged suddenly, faster than expected. Ethan barely rolled to the side, landing on his feet. He felt a surge of energy, his human adaptability kicking in. He grabbed a nearby branch, using it to create a barrier and redirect the creature's momentum. The others hesitated, giving him enough time to retreat to a safer position. Lyra watched silently, her usual smirk replaced by something resembling admiration. "Humans improvise under pressure. That is why you survive," she said softly. "No algorithm could predict your moves. You think, adapt, and act. That is your strength." Ethan realized she was right. The aliens were advanced, precise, and intelligent. Yet humans had a spark no technology could fully anticipate: creativity under pressure, quick thinking, and the willingness to act when fear threatened to paralyze. The pack continued to observe, circling cautiously. Ethan noticed a pattern. They tested, retreated, and tested again. Using his understanding of their behavior, he created a diversion with a small rock, drawing one of the predators away. Then, moving quickly, he led the others toward a narrow gorge where their size prevented them from following effectively. Lyra's voice reached him through the wind. "Excellent. Observation, strategy, and improvisation. That is why humans are remarkable." Ethan felt a rush of pride. He had faced a threat far more dangerous than any simulation, and he had survived by using his unique human abilities. For the first time, he understood exactly why Lyra had been so fascinated with humans from the beginning. The predators eventually retreated, sensing that their prey was no longer vulnerable. Ethan exhaled deeply, his chest heaving with adrenaline. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with approval. "You did well, human," she said. "You did not rely solely on strength or technology. You relied on your mind, your instincts, and your adaptability. That is why your species endures." Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. "I guess humans aren't so ordinary after all," he said, looking at her. Lyra tilted her head, her smirk softening into a rare smile. Ordinary? No. Ordinary is weak. Humans are unpredictable, clever, and resilient. Every inch of you is capable of more than you realize. They continued their journey, moving through the alien landscape with caution and skill. Ethan noticed that every movement, every decision, felt deliberate. He was learning not only about the planet, but also about himself. Humans were often underestimated, yet here, on a distant world, he realized that his species possessed qualities that even the most advanced aliens could not replicate. As evening approached, they reached a cliff overlooking a vast valley. The twin suns were setting, casting brilliant streaks of color across the sky. Ethan felt a mixture of awe and reflection. The challenges he had faced today had tested him physically and mentally, but he had survived and even thrived. Lyra observed him quietly. You have proven yourself human, not just to me, but to yourself. You have adapted, survived, and excelled in ways that even your species might not fully understand. Ethan looked at her, gratitude and respect shining in his eyes. I couldn't have done it without your guidance, he said. You taught me to see things differently, to trust myself, to think in ways I never imagined. Lyra's smirk returned, gentle this time. Guidance can only take you so far. It is your choices, your actions, and your determination that made the difference. That is what makes humans remarkable. As the stars emerged in the alien sky, Ethan felt a deep sense of connection to this strange world and to Lyra. He had arrived as a fragile, injured human, uncertain and afraid. Now he stood stronger, wiser, and more confident than ever. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture that carried respect rather than condescension. You are ready, human. Ready for challenges, for knowledge, for survival. Remember, every inch of you is capable if you trust it. Ethan nodded, feeling the truth of her words resonate deep within him. The journey ahead was still unknown, filled with dangers and mysteries, but he was no longer afraid. Humans were resilient, creative, and capable of extraordinary feats. That spark within him, the human spirit, was something even the most advanced beings could not ignore. As they began their descent into the valley, Ethan took a final glance at the horizon, where the fading light painted the alien landscape in brilliant colors. He felt a sense of pride, determination, and wonder. He had survived, adapted, and proven that humans, though small and fragile in appearance, possessed a strength that could shine across the galaxy. Lyra watched him, her eyes reflecting the fading suns. Every inch of you has grown today, human. Remember that, and remember, you are remarkable. Ethan smiled, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For the first time, he truly understood the meaning of her words, and the truth of humanity's place among the stars. And somewhere, beneath the alien sky, a human and an alien shared a quiet understanding that strength, courage, and ingenuity were not limited by species, but shone brightest when combined with heart, will, and the determination to survive.